This is an interesting podcast on karma and its magic about life.
One of the most important topics, karma and reincarnation, because this topic makes us really responsible at every step of our life.
हम तो प्रभु जी सब में देखते हैं, हम हर इंसान में भगवान देखते हैं. And the problem is that many people do not realize, they think that doing good karma is a way to moksha.
Bhagavad Gita in 15th chapter says, Mamaya Vamshul Jiva Loke Jiva Bhutasana. Lord Krishna is calling us, he's telling that every Jiva, every living entity is a part and parcel of the Supreme.
प्रभु पास है, दूर नहीं वो प्रभु पास है. नमस्कार.
Namaskar, very good morning.
Dr. Gauranga Priya. Welcome.
So happy with
Welcome, sir. It is a great honor to have you on this Insta Live. And just to introduce you to our guests on the call today, my dear friends, welcome on this Saturday morning to this interesting podcast on karma and its magic about life. Dr. Gauranga Priya has been a monk with ISKCON at the popular Chowpatty Center in Bombay. He is a life coach. He's not just a monk. He's a master of the mind. He teaches people the meaning of life. He speaks about the Bhagavad Gita and explains it in English and Hindi. I was amazed watching his videos, and I'm happy to have him on this call today. It's an honor to have you. With pranams and namaskar, I welcome you, and would like to hand over for you to say a few words before we get into the topic.
Thanks a lot. It's such a pleasure to be with you. And it's really a wonderful morning to have this discussion on one of the most important topics, karma and reincarnation, because this topic makes us really responsible at every step of our life, and it gives so much responsibility in our own hands to design our life and to decide the course of our life, and every step can be designed as per our desire if we take responsibility. So thank you for choosing this topic, and it's really wonderful to be with you.
Very good. How can I refer you? Should I call you doctor, or should I call you? Is there some way that people, Swamiji or Prabhuji, how do people refer you as?
Yeah, in our institution we usually call as Prabhuji. You can call me as you like.
Very
Doctor
good.
Gauranga.
हम तो प्रभु जी सब में देखते हैं, हम हर इंसान में भगवान देखते हैं. So then it's the fact that you are Prabhuji. So Prabhuji, the first step on the interesting conversation is for those people who question the existence of karma. So we'll just take that out of the way. Many people believe in the word luck, they believe in the word serendipity, they wonder why bad things happen to good people. They don't understand that there is a divine law of karma, a law of action and reaction, a law of the boomerang, which says that if there's an effect, there must be a cause. Because without a cause, there can be no effect. So would you like to say a few words about those who don't believe in the law of karma?
Yes, so in fact, what about believing? We see every day this law acting in our own lives. A simple thing. A boy slaps another boy in the school. Some student fight, mutual fight. So immediately the other person slaps back. So it's like a reaction coming back. If you are on the road, you are in the traffic, you are crossing the signal, you break the signal, immediately you are caught. Or maybe your number is noted, you are caught later. So the point is, systems are there in this world also to track your action, and there is a reaction plan. Only thing is, in this world, we are able to at times escape the reaction. There are ways we can, just escape from that and save ourselves. But in the cosmic laws, in the universal laws, we cannot save. And law is very important. Law is for our safety, for our smooth functioning in this world. So definitely there are laws in this world. And if you do not believe, so as I am saying, one proof is that even in this world, law of karma acts at a smaller level. And second proof is for universal laws which we can't immediately access, witness, experience, we believe on the power of scriptures. And scriptures, which are the laws given for the universal systems, from that we understand. Bhagavad Gita speaks a lot on the science of karma. In fact, in 4th chapter, it is very clearly mentioned that there are different kinds of karma, akarma, vikarma. And it is mentioned everybody should study this science very, very carefully. It's a very goyim science. It's a difficult to understand science, but this helps you to take responsibility for your life.
So Prabhuji, let us go to the main subject that we have spoken of today. And the problem is that many people do not realize, they think that doing good karma is the way to moksha. But the realized ones realize, in fact I say it sometimes in little poetry, the way I say it is, कर्म अच्छा जो कमाता है मरता फिर वो जीता मकसद मुक्ति पाना है प्रभु से एक होना संसार से मुक्त होना प्रभु से एक होना यही मकसद है जीने का. Lot of people, Prabhuji, think that by doing good karma, they can attain what you call moksha or attain God. But they don't realize that good karma binds us. Just like I think Lord Krishna, I am not so proficient in the Bhagavad Gita, you are the master. He talks about how we should not just do good karma, but we must become a karma yogi. We have to transcend karma. We have to go beyond karma and behave as a divine instrument. And that's the only way for us to attain the divine, attain the supreme. So what are your views on this, what we call mukti, what we call attaining God, what we call transcending karma, going beyond, not just doing good karma? So my question to you is this confusion that many people think just doing good karma is enough. But very few people realize we have to be free from karma, we have to become a karma yogi and transcend karma. Please do give us your thoughts.
So there is a common conception that work is worship. You do your work, that's worship, that's karma. Beautifully, in a very poetic way, you mentioned about mukti and liberation. It was very wonderful hearing that wonderful song. See, the mukti is nothing but freedom from miseries, freedom from suffering. And various kinds of sufferings are happening in this world. Sufferings caused by our body, physical problems, suffering caused by our mind, mental issues. That's the biggest issues nowadays. There's so much about mental health which we need to do. Sufferings caused by natural disturbances, too much heat, too much cold, too much rains. Suffering caused between mutual socialization between us, fights, conflicts, social issues at a national level, at international level. So mukti is nothing but freedom from these sufferings. And that freedom from these sufferings can be experienced even in this world if we train our consciousness nicely. And that is the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. They teach us the right kind of thought process by which we can face this world and train ourselves to be not affected by these miseries. And a beautiful example which I really like. Padma patram ivam basa brahmani adhaya karmani sangam tektva karoti. Lipyate na sapapena. It says, like on a lotus leaf, if you put a drop of water, that drop of water, lotus leaf remains unaffected by drop of water because there is a wax, there is a covering on the lotus leaf. This is 5th chapter, 10th verse. Similarly, if we train ourselves with the right kind of perception, right kind of consciousness, right kind of way of seeing the world, viewpoint, then a lot of these sufferings, although we are in the middle of sufferings, but we can save ourselves from being affected by those sufferings. That is first most important point. And second point, since you're talking about meeting with God, so Bhagavad Gita in 15th chapter says, Mamai Vangsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanat. Lord Krishna is calling us, he's telling that every Jiva, every living entity is a part and parcel of the Supreme. मतलब हम भगवान की संतान हैं, तो हम भगवान की संतान हैं, भगवान के बच्चे हैं, we are children of God, but we have forgotten that relationship. भूलिया जीव वांछ भोग, बोले भगवान को भूल गए हैं और भूल के वी आर ट्राइंग टू एंजॉय इन दिस वर्ल्ड. एवरी अटेम्प्ट टू एंजॉय दिस वर्ल्ड इज फुल ऑफ सफरिंग. एवरी टाइम वी डिस्कवर इन दिस वर्ल्ड समथिंग टू help us get rid of suffering, we get more implicated. Problems increase even more.
So therefore, our goal is two, no, Prabhuji. One is to be free from all misery on earth, and the second to be free from the cycle of rebirth. Are you in sync with these two things? There is one small thing we will take at the end. Whether we are manifestations of God or we are different from God. This is a very small thing we will touch at the end of the subject. But liberation from all suffering, you've spoken about how the body suffers, the mind suffers, and the ego suffers. We are on the same page here. And how we have to transcend the senses, the craving of the senses, the desires of the mind, and the agony of the ego. ये तो आप मान रहे हैं. और हमें मुक्ति पाना है, मतलब जग से मुक्ति भी पाना है और जग में मुक्ति भी पाना है. So there are two aspects. So how does one attain that state of freedom from rebirth, from reincarnation? Why don't we get to that topic?
Freedom from rebirth, reincarnation, Lord Krishna says in 8th chapter, in the 5th and 6th verse, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. Whatever state of consciousness you develop, that you attain in the next life. So the kind of life we live right now, that kind of body is given to us. So if you want freedom from that incarnation, from that reincarnation, we have to go back to spiritual world. So our consciousness has to be like spiritual world. Free from lust, free from envy, free from greed, free from pride, free from fights, conflicts, ego. And that training happens once we are touched with spiritual vibration, sound vibration. As somebody is raising a question, what is the difference between meditation and chanting? The idea is when we start chanting about those mantras, we start chanting about Hare Krishna or different kind of mantras which mention about names of God, we become qualified to enter the realm of God. So that is the process. That you get in touch with divine sound vibration. And the divine sound vibration trains us to develop the right consciousness, to enter that realm and free from all the lower nature, all the impurities and contamination. So in one word I would say divine sound vibration, the mantra, it helps to deliver.
So how does the mantra lead to liberation, freedom from rebirth?
Mantra leads to liberation. It's very simple. Just like in the morning, when we have to wake up, we are not able to wake up. We use alarm clock. Alarm clock is a sound. Sound wakes us up from a sleeping condition. Similarly, we are sleeping, not aware of our connection with God. And that awareness has to be done by the sound. Sound is like awakening us. As simple as that.
So basically, don't you agree that we have to transcend the body, mind, ego, and we have to realize God? What is your understanding of self-realization that leads to freedom from reincarnation?
Very wonderful point. Self-realization which leads to freedom from reincarnation. Reincarnation means absorption in this world. I am so and so. This is my body. This is my family. This is my relations. This I and mine factor. Aham mameti. When we get rid of it and we say, I belong to God. That is my family. When that consciousness develops, so from this consciousness of this world, absorption goes in consciousness of that world. And that happens by hearing about God. And therefore our scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Ramayana, full of stories which help us to absorb in that realm. And once we absorb in that realm, we fall in love with that realm, then it becomes so easy to get transferred, because God will not allow us to come there if we are not in union with His desire, in oneness with Him.
You know, actually, very interesting. But people sometimes are quite confused. Let me bring in some of the facts in front of you. Can anybody deny death? Death is a reality. The body has to die. Nobody can deny it. And karma is already something we have accepted, that there is karma. And also, how does this world exist? This world exists because every day people are born. Can anybody deny these three things? That death is certain, karma governs the world, and the birth continues to happen. So,
Yes.
isn't it very clear, Prabhuji, that the karma that we do when we are alive do not get finished in the moment of death? In the moment of death, the body dies. And probably like the Gita says, the body dies, but the karma go from one to another. The karma is carried forward to the birth. That's why somebody is born in a good life, somebody is born in a bad life. So what is there any difference of opinion of you on your side, that death is certain, karma will continue in the form of rebirth when we take a new life? What is your thought on this?
So Bhagavad Gita says beautiful thing, Dehino asmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara. Or vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya. Navani grinati. So perfect. What you are saying is absolutely in line with Bhagavad Gita philosophy. Death is certain, karma continues, and then we take different birth as per our karma. So Bhagavad Gita says just like you take the old clothes and throw it and buy the new clothes. Vasamsi jirnani, old clothes. Yatha vihaya, hum chhod dete hain. And in fact, Bhagavad Gita says that's why every person should learn the art of tolerance, because this world is constantly changing. And we are not able to tolerate the change. So therefore, he combines this verse with another verse. Matra sparshastu kaunteya. Titikshava. Learn to tolerate, because constantly changing world. And death is the only certain thing.
Yeah. So Prabhuji, just to clarify, according to you and how you interpret the Bhagavad Gita, who are we in reality? Are we the body? Are we the mind? Are we the ego? Are we the soul? Are we products? Are we children? Like you said, hum Prabhu Bhagwan ke santan hai. You already mentioned something. Because the Upanishads talk of something. The Upanishads say, neti neti tattvamasi. And the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita are not divergent. They are convergent, but interpretation might be slightly different. So I have got 2-3 questions, and I hope you don't mind. I'm going by this question answers to listeners can enjoy the conversation. So what do you think is our true identity?
You know, right now you asked me, how do I address you? I said, Prabhuji. Now, if I would be in a female body, then I would say, how you address? Okay, Mataji. Or if some people say Swamiji. Now, that is also one level of designation. But then I am not Prabhuji, I am not Mataji, I am not Swamiji, I am just a spirit soul, part and parcel of God. So there are different levels of identity. When we say Atma, Atma has many meanings. Atma can at times refer to body, because I am this body, I have to take care of my body. I am using my ears, my nose, my mouth, everything. Then Atma can also refer to mind, because mind is also the self. Because the way I process myself, that's also my identity. People say, he is a person who thinks like this. She is a person who thinks like this. So that's also an identity. But if you go to a deeper level, your intelligence is your identity. To a much more deeper level, your ego, that is also an identity. But again, all these are different levels of covering. But much deeper than that, who we really are is the spirit soul, who is coming from the kingdom of God, as per 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Na bhasyate suryam, where na shashanka, na pavaka, that place where there is no sun, no moon, no electricity, self-illuminated, and we are coming from there as part and parcel of God. And that is our real identity.
Beautiful. So that means we have come to one very important convergence between Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishad, that we are the Atma. And the Atma is nothing but the Paramatma, because it comes from the Paramatma, like a wave comes from the ocean and goes back to the ocean. We are a tiny speck, but very, very tiny speck of that energy of the Paramatma that is coming as the Atma. And we call the soul, S-O-U-L, as the spark of unique life. That's how we refer to a soul, which is, I hope you will not disagree. But then, like you said, and some of the scriptures talk of these koshas, these layers. On the outside, we are the layer of the physical layer. Then we are the layer of the mind layer, the manomaya. Then we are the layer of the intelligence. And ultimately, what you have, as Prabhuji and very beautifully you have said, ultimately, we are that. So let me put that next poetry for you to comment. And the next poetry I am telling you is, मौत की सच्चाई क्या है, हम कभी ना मरते हैं, हम तो इस शरीर से मुक्त होते हैं जब ये तन मरता है, हम तो अमर आत्मा है, आत्मा कभी ना मरती है, एहसास जब होता है हम तन मन ना संसार से मुक्त होते हैं, मौत की सच्चाई क्या है. So over to you. How do you react to this? I hope I'm clear in my communication.
Oh, yes, very much. Because soul is eternal, body dies. And as I mentioned, body dies means you just take the old clothes and throw and wear a new clothes. So there's a beautiful verse in Gita, Avinashi tu tad vidhi yena sarvam idam tatam. Please try to understand the spirit soul which is indestructible. And if you see, we are always looking for that state, eternal state. हम किसी से रिश्ता बनाते हैं, we want it to continue eternally. We are in good health, we want that to continue eternally. If we are in youthful looks, very fresh, we want to look that eternally. Morning we wear clothes, by the evening they become old, we want to wash them. But desire is they ever stay fresh. Our body should stay fresh, our clothes should stay fresh, our relationship should stay fresh. If you buy a new car, that should stay fresh, your houses should stay fresh. This desire of freshness comes because the nature of soul is fresh, ever fresh. And that's the difference between body and soul. And Krishna, 20 verses, constantly keeps on hammering and hammering and hammering. This is the cause of misery is because you identify with the body, which is temporary. And therefore we are always in fear. Arey, abhi kya hoga, abhi kya hoga, abhi kya hoga. Because we are identifying with temporary things of this world. तो वो तो कभी भी खराब हो जाएगी, टूट जाएगी, like that.
So you're clear, right? At death, the body dies and the soul leaves the body. This is a simple fact. But let me put forward to you two different states of belief, two different beliefs, and I want you to comment on the two beliefs. Belief number one, the body dies. The body dies when the soul leaves the body. Death is that moment when the soul leaves, because that's why we cremate the body. Otherwise we would never cremate the body. हम अपने पिताजी का शरीर कभी जलाते नहीं अगर उसमें अंदर हमारे पिताजी होते. हमारे पिताजी शरीर को छोड़ के चल बसे हैं, वो गुजर गए हैं, इसलिए हम शरीर को जलाते हैं. Now, Prabhuji, when the body dies and the soul departs, the simple understanding of those people who are intelligent, the me, M-E, the mind and ego carries karma and returns in a new body when a soul gives it life. This is one analogy of an understanding. And the second analogy, which is what we call sometimes realization and liberation, and this is the tough subject. When the body dies, where is the mind? There is no mind. The mind is nothing but a bundle of thoughts. That's why nobody has seen the mind. Nobody can say mind is like gola, like a ball, it's square like a box. No, nobody can say mind is white or blue or black or green, because it has not been seen. That's why we can't say it is blue or green. Now, Swamiji, Prabhuji, so this option is that when the body dies, the mind and the ego actually are Maya, are illusion. They don't exist. We are the divine soul. The soul does not carry any karma. The soul, Atma, comes from Paramatma. It doesn't own any karma. In this moment, there is liberation because there is unification with the divine. What I'm actually quoting to you, you must be quite familiar, is what is written in the Katho Upanishad. I don't know if you're familiar with the Katho Upanishad. In the Katho Upanishad, when there's a discussion of Yama and Nachiketa, this is what many of the people bring it to me, and I want your opinion. That whether, is it right that when the body dies, the mind and ego is reborn with karma, and when we realize there is no mind and ego, then there is no karma, and there is liberation. So do give us your thoughts on these two different states of belief.
Wonderful. In chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita, in the 4th verse, it says, Bhumir apo nalo vayu kham mano buddhir evacha. So the body is composed of the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, and also mind, intelligence, and ego. That is a subtle body. So when the body dies, we can't say mind is finished. In fact, mind is the medium to carry karma to the next life. Because it is the mind which is carrying the desires and the impressions based on which the next body is prepared. Because if the mind is carrying the desires, maybe to live like a tree or a lion or any other body, so based on those impressions, the next body is decided. And in all these bodies, since you're talking about Katha Upanishad, different Upanishads, Shvetashvatara Upanishad, this beautiful example comes of 2 birds on the same tree. One bird is enjoying the fruits of the tree, and sometimes that bird finds the tasty fruits, sometimes finds the bitter fruits. The other bird is just sitting and watching. When are you going to turn your attention towards me? So it is explained, the bird who is trying to enjoy the fruits is like a spirit soul who, with the help of mind, adhisthaya manaschayam, mind as the center of enjoyment. Mind carries the impressions. Oh, yesterday I ate samosa, it was very tasty. Today I should eat again. So mind carries those impressions. So with the carrying those impressions of mind, that bird who is trying to enjoy this world keeps transmigrating from one branch of the tree to another branch of the tree. But the other bird is the super soul, the Paramatma, as you said. And he is actually waiting. When are you going to build up that connection with me? Because till you get fed up of this world, you will not turn to me. So take your time. Take your time. And this is the beauty of God. He never suffocates anyone and forces, come, surrender unto me. He gives you the time to explore. And once you have explored and seen, the enjoyment in this world is not satisfying enough. It's not fulfilling enough. That is the time you turn to spirituality.
So beautiful, very beautifully said. So then when this bird which is enjoying the fruit of this world and going on enjoying the body, mind, ego, Prabhuji, then when will this bird get mukti, get that liberation? What is the way for, you said the mind will carry karma and get a new body. So, like I tell people, I said, marna, jeena, marna, marna, jeena, jeena, marna, marna, jeena, jeena, marna. तो ये जीने मरने के चक्कर से मुक्ति कैसे पाएंगे?
So there is another beautiful bhajan. Ram naam ke heere moti, main bikhra hu gali gali. Sham naam ke heere moti, main bikhra hu gali gali. Sun lo re koi Ram ka pyara, shor machaun gali gali. Sun lo re koi Sham ka pyara, shor machaun gali gali. One biggest weapon which is mentioned in Kali Santaran Upanishad, Brihad Aranyak Upanishad, that Harer Naam, Harer Naam, Harer Naam Eva Kevalam. Kalau Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gatir Anyatha. In Kali, the best way to get mukti from these impressions of mind and the desires of mind, which are like a thick cloud covering our eyes, and we are not able to see the sun. God is like sun, all effulgent, very clear, but our stupid eyes are covered with the cloud. The cloud is dispelled. Like the sun comes, the fog is dispelled. So the cloud of ignorance, confusions, dilemmas, problems, pains, miseries dispelled when the sound of holy name enters our consciousness.
So is it beautiful? So is it only the repeating of the name of God as you are calling? Is it only repeating the name of God that will attain us to the divine? Or there is more to do?
The more to do is the knowledge of God. But the main weapon is chanting of the holy names. And to empower that weapon, a simple thing, if I have to pick up a sword in a fight, to pick up that sword, I should have a strength in my hand. That strength comes by divine knowledge of scriptures. hearing about God, hearing about scriptures. And once we hear that, and then we are able to lift the weapon of holy name and cut away the ignorance of our consciousness. And if these two processes are followed, as per the bhakti scriptures or the guidance of Kali Yuga, this is the most powerful way.
What do you feel about Meera and her love for Krishna? What is your comment on that?
That's beautiful. Her love was spontaneous, coming from very deep space, and she has been one of the most renowned pure devotee of Lord Krishna. And if you see her life, it's all about bhajan, singing the glories of the Lord, singing the names of the God. That's what it is.
So obviously we have to go from bhakti to prema. Bhakti is one level where you have devotion for God, and then prema is that level where you are immersed in the divine, correct?
Yes.
So people are, the topic of discussion, let us close the loop and then few minutes of free-flowing talk. In the topic of discussion, we wanted to assure our listeners today that we talked of karma, doing good karma, repeating the name of God and getting to that state. Not just, so according to you, whatever we leave the body, death is certain and we will be reborn. So, apart from repeating the name of God, you have anything more to say for what is called liberation or attaining God? How can we attain God? Do you have anything to say on this?
For me, that's my Brahma Vakya, the ultimate statement. There can be many other processes supporting, but if you are indicating at a specific detail, I can highlight that. But otherwise, in simplicity of the process, we always say Shravanam Kirtanam. Prahlad Maharaj says in Srimad Bhagavatam, Shravanam Kirtanam Smaranam. There are many processes, Padasevanam, Dasyam, Archanam. But main thing is somehow connect to God and find your way to connect to God.
I'm going to take a few free-flowing questions to you. I know that when those in ISKCON and those who are Krishna Bhakt are very devoted to that name and form of Krishna. Like I believed in Shiva when I was 8 to 48. When I was 8 years old, I started saying Om Namah Shivaya. Like you say, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yes.
I would say Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya. But for me, let me tell you a couple of things and then I'll give you two small poetries and then I want a heartfelt answer from you. You must have heard of the movie. As a doctor, you must have seen the movie Satyam Shivam Sundaram. I hope you have seen that movie and heard of it.
Must be long time back. I'm not sure. I don't remember it.
In that there's a beautiful song. In the song, it says, first of all, Satyam Shivam Sundaram itself means Satya ye hai कि प्रभु ही सुंदर है. जो भी दुनिया में सुंदर है ये प्रभु है. Do you deny that? All beauty is a manifestation of divinity.
Yes.
In that beautiful movie, he says, रामावध में काशी में शिव, कान्हा वृंदावन में, दया करो प्रभु देखो इनको, दया करो प्रभु देखो इनको, हर घर के आंगन में राधा मोहन शरणम सत्यम शिवम सुंदरम. I have got this. I won't confuse you, so first comment on this and then I'll tell you the next one. So what do you feel about this?
Oh, this is beautiful. In fact, there is one verse by Brahmaji, Ramadi Murti Shukala Niyamena Tishyan. How that Supreme Lord, Govinda Mahadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami, that Supreme Lord Govinda is manifesting in different forms and satisfying the desires of different worshippers. There was one devotee of Lord Ram, only devotee of Ram. His devotion towards Ram, highly respected. There is one devotee fully focused on Shiva because Shiva attracts him. Shiva captivates his mind. Perfect. Brahmaji says, Shiram Yadadadi Vikara Vishesh Yoga. He says, Krishna and Shiva, Vishnu and Shiva are just like milk and yogurt. Are they same? Are they different? They are actually same in one sense. They are same thing in two different forms. So therefore, this facility is given that as per your inclination, you connect to a specific form of Supreme manifested in this creation.
But don't you believe that we should go from the Lord with a form ultimately to a Lord that is formless? Because don't you believe that God is not just a Vyakti, God is a Shakti?
In 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, if you study the last verse of 14th chapter, where he says, Mam chayo abhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. And the last 26 and 27, Lord Krishna personally says, I, as a person, is the source of impersonal effulgence. So when you say source, so Krishna is personally very clearly emphasizing that how person is superior to the impersonal form. So impersonal form is one of the great ways to approach, which Lord Krishna personally touches in 12th chapter also, where Arjun asked this question, which one is better? Should I choose the personal or impersonal? And Lord Krishna highlights the pros and cons of both. And then after that, he specifically recommends the worship in the personal form. So that is the understanding of Bhagavad Gita in 12th chapter and 14th chapter.
No, very beautiful. See, ultimately, Prabhuji, there are different religions. There are different belief systems. Our goal, according to me, I don't know whether you would agree or not, our goal is to try to create a world order of love. Today, Prabhuji, it is unfortunate that people are fighting in the name of God. People are fighting in the name of religion. So I don't know how much you feel for this, but my belief system is so for me, I say, इंसान में ही भगवान है, भगवान नहीं आसमान में है, कण कण में प्रभु की शक्ति ही है, हर जीव में भगवान है. No, Prabhuji, people misunderstand. When people say, Aham Brahmasmi, people say Aham Brahmasmi does not mean I am God. Aham Brahmasmi must be understood. Aham Brahmasmi means I am not. It means I am not this body. This body was formed over 9 months in my mother's womb. This body will return to mitti. In any doubt, Prabhuji, the body will become mud.
Yes.
Ultimately, we are that Shakti, we are the soul, we are the Atma, which you also said, the Atma that is coming from Paramatma. And Aham Brahmasmi is the way for us to see every human being as a manifestation of the divine. I know that there is one small difference, that you probably believe that a man cannot become one with God. A man can only go to God, to be devoted to God, but that doesn't matter. To me, that difference is not a big deal. Sorry to say, many people make a big deal of it. But I think what is important is to realize that I am not I. ये जो ego है, Prabhuji, correct me if I'm wrong, the ego that stands tall like a wall, it has to fall. Only when it falls, we can see the divine in one and all. Don't you agree that the power of the Supreme, the power of Krishna is in you, is in me, is in everybody? Don't you believe that? Do you deny that the power of God exists in every human being?
Oh yes, we are surviving by the power of God. That spark is only energizing us, motivating us, keeping us alive. That's it. Very nice.
So what are we? If you remove God from me or remove God from you, if I remove the Atma from me or you, what is left? Is anything left?
First, I was reminded. Sorry, you say you want to say.
Continue. No, I want you to give your thoughts, please.
In the 15th chapter, a beautiful verse comes in the 5th verse. Nirman moha jita sanga dosha. And I am highlighting this in context of what you said. There are often conflicts in the name of religion. That, okay, our faith says this, your faith says this. But before that, what is most important is getting rid of that false ego, the I part. And that's what Krishna highlights in 15.5. And in fact, our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, he says the process of liberation is explained in 15.5. And he says, Nirman moha jita sanga dosha, one who has conquered over this I and mind. So I'm just trying to connect to what you said about getting rid of I. That is most important. Instead of getting caught up in all the details and trying to have fights in the name of religion. So that was wonderful. And what else? Some other point you were asking. What was the other point? This was the main point we were connecting.
Saying that we have to build a world order where we all respect each other's belief, because ultimately there is one God. So for example, you say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. In this tune I say, प्रभु पास है, दूर नहीं वो प्रभु पास है, आत्मा ही परमात्मा है, दिल के अंदर उसका निवास है, शिव भी वही राम है, हनुमान वही घनश्याम है, प्रभु पास है. Do you agree with this thought process or not?
See, I am agreeing with the spirit which you are mentioning, that we should create unity, equality. But technicalities, definitely there would be differences in what you are saying and how we explain things. But definitely, in a sense, I am understanding your spirit. Your feeling is that why create conflicts? And therefore, I also want to speak about one section of Bhagavad Gita, because as I mentioned you, Bhagavad Gita in 12th chapter highlights the process of bhakti very beautifully. And in that, he says, if you really claim to be a bhakta or a spiritualist or a follower of liberation, path of liberation, then he says, adveshta sarva bhutana. So adveshta means you become non-envious. Maitra, you develop friendship mutually. Karuna, you see each other with compassion. Now, technicalities, how we see that, they might be different in different paths. The way you are saying, now in our Hanuman is not, you can't say Hanuman is Ghanshyam. Hanumanji is a devotee of Krishna. So I am saying technicalities, we will vary. But the essence which you are mentioning in spirit, I can tell you in total 8 verses, in the most important chapter of Gita, 12th chapter, right in the middle, which talks about Bhakti Yoga, he says, if you claim to be a bhakta or a devotee, then these are the qualities you have to live by. Not that you become envious, you start fighting, you start having agitating conflicts and discussions. You can have healthy discussions. So, yasma na udvijate loka na udvijate chaya. One who does not get agitated by others and who does not agitate others. So, this means there is a respect and given to the space of other people. Okay, this is how you want to follow. We give respect. I want to follow. I will have a certain path. And we give respect to each other. And that's how the whole diversity is accommodated in this. In fact, in 12th chapter, okay, coming to this impersonal. Now, Krishna doesn't reject any path. He accommodates all. He just tells this path, this will be the challenges. This path, this will be the challenges. And he says how to unite the whole thing. Like this.
Good. I think we can go on and on. So, according to you, what is the purpose of life?
What is the purpose of life? Purpose of life is Sarv Dharman Paritijya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo. Actually, I look at 2 verses, In Bhagavad Gita, one verse Krishna says, you dedicate your life, surrender your everything, Sarva Dharman Paritijya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. So when he says Dharman, he is not referring to Dharma as Hindu, Christian, Muslim, nothing like that. He is referring to Dharma means above all duties, your duty of connecting to me, to my instructions should be foremost. And another place I see in the 6th chapter, different people follow different paths of yoga. Karma yoga, Hatha yoga, Ashtanga yoga, Jnana yoga. In 6th chapter, in 32nd verse, Krishna highlights any process of yoga you follow. But the culmination of yoga is when you start working to free people from their sufferings. When you start looking at this world with a compassionate attitude. So that is the maturity, that once you go through all the realizations and you understand what is the cause of suffering of every living entity, you try to work hard to help others to get rid of their sufferings. And whatever means required to help them, you take them. But that becomes the goal, that becomes the purpose.
So good. I think that is what you are doing, and that is what I have dedicated my life. I was a businessman for 25 years, and I shut my business because I realized that I was not Ravi, I was the Atma in Ravi. And the goal in this idea of this podcast is to try to build a synergy because I do not believe that none of us would think that there are many gods living up in the sky. There, like you said, there are different manifestations. Like you said, milk and yogurt. Somebody may see God in one form, somebody may see God in another form. But I only feel that the day we can see the divine manifesting, like, there's a beautiful song, I think, who has written it? He says, Patte patte mein hai jhanki Bhagwan ki, Patte patte mein hai jhanki Bhagwan ki. I like to end my point with this and give you, I don't know if you heard this. He says, नाम देव ने पकाई रोटी कुत्ते ने उठाई पीछे घी का कटोरा लिए भाग रे प्रभु प्रभु सूखी तो ना खाओ थोड़ा घी तो लेके जाओ प्रभु सूखी तो ना खाओ थोड़ा घी तो लेके जाओ क्यों रूप तू छुपाए मेरे मुझसे. So the point is, Namdev, you must have heard of Namdev, right? So Namdev was making the roti and the dog ran away with the roti. And he went running behind and said, Prabhuji, oh Prabhuji, sukhi mat khao, thoda ghee to leke jao.
Yes.
So I don't know whether you agree to this being a highest form of bhakti. I have ended my thought of it. Your words on this and your conclusion, please.
Yes, there is another story which comes in our scriptures of Ranti Dev, King Ranti Dev, comes in Srimad Bhagavatam, and also King Shivi too, who actually worked to diminish the suffering of every living entity. Why only human beings? Rantidev was somebody who was fasting for many, many days, I think around 48 days. And finally, the day he was supposed to break his fast, different devatas, they take the form of different animals and different. So a dog comes and another person comes, oh, I am hungry, and he gives all his food, portion by portion, first half the food to one and half the food to one. Different guests comes in different forms. And Ranti Dev feels fulfillment by doing that service. And then all the devatas appear and they bless him that we were just testing you and how you acted for the welfare of other living entities. So yes, that's exactly. Sometimes we love God and we are not kind to the living entities around us, to the people around us, to the birds and animals around us. So if that compassion is not there, what is the purpose of loving God? How you can say love God? It's like you love somebody, you love their children also. So yes, beautifully said, how Lord is there in the heart of everyone and how we dedicate our life to help others in their life and get rid of sufferings. Thank you very much.
So beautiful. I think we can go on and on, but it's beautiful. Yes. It was lovely talking to you. I only wish that people are free from this samsara and people get into this path of bhakti, this path of yoga, and whatever way, ultimately whether it is, whether we believe that we will go to Krishna or we will become one with Krishna, that is the ultimate, whether we may have different way of looking at it. But I think we have to be free from, like you said, all misery and suffering on earth, and the objective of life to be free from the cycle of rebirth. If only we can, together we can work towards making this happen, I think we would make our life meaningful and successful. And you as a doctor, you have given up your practice and have dedicated yourself as a monk to serve at ISKCON and to serve people. I bow down to the divine in you. For me, I don't see you as a Prabhuji. I see you as Prabhuji. I don't see you, I know you do not see it this way, but I see you as Krishna. I know that you have a different, or you say, no, I cannot be Krishna. I am only Das of Krishna. But for me, the Das of Krishna that I see, the Dr. Gauranga Priya Das that I see, the appearance, like you say, may be what I see. But what I actually am seeing through you is the divine manifestation of Krishna. And so to the Krishna that I have been speaking to, pranams, I bow down to you and thank you for this amazing day together, and hopefully we'll meet and we will have more to do in future. Bow down.
It was such a pleasure being with you. Thank you so much, Ravi. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for patiently listening to the video. And if you have questions, if you want to contact me, just WhatsApp me on 98451 55555. WhatsApp India 91 98451 55555. But if you want to get answers to your questions, then come on Zoom, and the Zoom ID is on your screen. Every day at 8, you will find answers to all the difficult questions of life. See you there.